In Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ba'd. Inshallah, in this talk, we will be talking about Surah Al-Fatiha, or rather the exegesis or the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha. So before doing that, let us recite the Surah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So this is Surah Al-Fatiha. The surah is named Al-Fatiha because the Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam called this surah to be Fatihatul Kitab, which literally means the opening of the book, because this is a surah by which we start reading the Quran, or the Mus'haf of the Quran, the copy of the Quran. So, and in many ahadith, we get to know the blessings and the greatness of this blessed surah. So it's quite convenient for us to actually get to learn this surah if we haven't learned it previously. Surah Al-Fatiha starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Actually, every surah of the Quran starts with this particular statement, except Surah Al-Tawbah or Surah Al-Bara'ah, the 10th chapter of the Quran. Except for that particular surah, every other surah starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So some of the scholars actually included Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim inside Surah Al-Fatiha. They consider it to be the first verse of the Quran. Some other scholars actually find that it's not within the surah, rather it works as a chapter break for every surah that is started with saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Whatever the case, whether Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is a ayah of the Quran, a verse of the Quran, verse of the verse of Surah Fatiha or not, we can explain the statement anyway. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Bismillah, if we break it into two parts, firstly we have Bismillah, which means with the name of Allah. And it is known to us that it's sunnah to start a permissible act with the saying Bismillah, which actually means with the name of Allah. So we want to start a particular act with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why do we do that? We do that for two particular reasons. First of all, we say Bismillah while commencing a particular action because we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. Because whenever we want to accomplish something, we want to complete a particular act, we need help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we acknowledge that we need help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so we start the act with saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, or just Bismillah in some cases. And another reason for saying Bismillah or stating Bismillah before we start a particular action is to seek Allah's blessings or barakah in that particular action, because we can often finish or accomplish a particular action but may not get the full benefit out of this action. To get the full benefit out of this action, we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings. So these are the two reasons why whenever we start an action we need to say Bismillah, because first of all we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help, and secondly we need the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from that particular action. Bismillah, here we get to know the first name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is Allah. And Allah, the name actually implies the absolute name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. the name Allah. And where does this name come from? According to some of the scholars, and especially Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, a great Muslim scholar of our previous era, he said that Allah is actually a name which is derived from the word Al-Ilah. Al-Ilah means the deity, the only absolute being worthy of being worshipped. Eventually, later on, this particular name, Al-Ilah, morphed into the name Allah. So, Bismillah, we start by Allah, the only deity worthy of being worshipped. Then, the second part, in which we get another two names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is firstly Ar-Rahman and secondly Ar-Rahim. Here we have two questions to be asked. First of all, what are the meanings of these two names, Ar-Rahman and Rahim? And the second question is, why are these names following the name Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has many names. So when are we saying Bismillah, why are we annexing Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim with the statement Bismillah? So to answer the first question, what are the meanings of Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim? There are actually a difference of opinion regarding the meaning or the difference of meanings of these two names. If you pick up any English translation, it would say that Ar-Rahman is the most compassionate or the most merciful, and Ar-Rahim is the most compassionate. These names sound very good, but do they actually give us the implication or the meanings or the differences between these two names? They actually do not. So what we need to do is to look at the tafsir works and see how the scholars interpreted these two particular names. So if we go to the tafsir works, and we'll see that scholars have different opinions regarding the meanings of these two names. I would state two set of meanings in this particular talk. First of all, these two names are actually derived from the root word Rahmah, which means mercy, kindness, magnanimity, all these things. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He is named Ar-Rahman, His name Ar-Rahman implies that His essence or His self has this attribute mercy or kindness. He is kind. He is the kind. He is the kind. He is the merciful. So it is in His attribute. It is one of the attributes in His essence. And when we say Ar-Rahim, it signifies that His mercy is put into action. I would give you one example or a metaphor to make this point clear. Say for example, there is this guy who is a computer programmer. Now, this guy who has learned computer programming, he's a programmer. By that we mean that he can create softwares by doing all his programming things. But that doesn't mean that he is programming all the time. Perhaps he has retired, so he is not programming at all, but still he remains a programmer because he has this ability, he has this attribute in himself. So we have to differentiate between him being a programmer and him programming, him putting this attribute into action. Likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not only the kind, He is of course kind, and also by saying that He is Ar-Rahim, He is Ar-Rahman because He is kind. It is His absolute attribute. But by saying that He is Ar-Rahim, we are also implying, or the name implies, that this mercy is continuously put into action. So this was the first set of meaning. The second set of meaning that also that is also mentioned by the scholars is that Ar-Rahman is an all-encompassing mercy, which means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy is given to everyone, Muslims or non-Muslims, human beings or non-human beings. Everyone is getting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, and there is no biasness in it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His mercy is encompassing every creation of His. And for that reason He is Ar-Rahman. And by saying Ar-Rahim, or His name Ar-Rahim actually implies that He also will show a special mercy, which is special because it's restricted for a particular creation who are the believers, and this mercy will be given only to the believers in the day of judgment, and for that reason He is Ar-Rahim. So this is another set of meaning. So these answers, I mean these two sets of meanings actually give us the answer to the first question, which was what are the meanings of these two names. Now coming to the second question, which is why are we mentioning these two names with the statement Bismillah, with the name of Allah? Then why are we mentioning this name Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim? We could have mentioned other names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has many other names. That He has Al-Adil, we could have said Bismillah Al-Adil. He has the name Al-Jabbar, we could have said Bismillah Al-Jabbar. Why are we specifying these two particular names with Bismillah? Now this has a very interesting implication. See, when we are actually seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help, when we are asking for His blessings, we have to remind ourselves that we are sinning every day. We are sinners. We are continuous sinners. We sin every now and then. And in fact, there is a hadith of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is not exactly a sahih hadith or an authentic hadith, but it's a hasan hadith, which means that it's a good hadith. It can be acceptable, in which the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that كل بني آدم خطاؤون وخير الخطائين التوابون, which means that every children or every child of Adam, meaning Adam alayhi salam, every child of Adam is a continuous sinner. Khatta'un is a term for a continuous sinner, someone who is continuously sinning or wrongdoing. So every son of Adam is khatta'un, a continuous sinner, a wrongdoer. And then he says an amazing statement of many amazing statements of the Prophet of Allah. He says that and the best of the continuous sinners are the ones who are continuously repenting. Okay, so anyway, the point I wanted to make is that we are continuous sinners, because the Prophet generalized the statement. He said that every son of Adam is a continuous sinner. That includes us. All of us, me, myself, and the listeners, we all are continuous sinners. Now, here's the catch. The point is that we are continuously sinning at one hand, and then on other hand, when we are embarking on an action, we are seeking Allah's help and blessing. Double standard, right? I mean, at one point we are sinning, on the other hand, we are also seeking Allah's help. Doesn't actually, I mean, this shouldn't work, right? Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us? Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give His blessings to us where we are the continuous sinners? So even when we are sinners, we need Allah's help anyway. We can't help it. So what we are doing is, by saying Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, by saying this whole statement, we are actually making the point to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, we know that we are sinners, we are continuously sinning, but considering that you are the most merciful, you are the most compassionate, we need your forgiveness at the first point for our previous sins, and secondly, we need your help and blessings for these new actions we are embarking on. So this was the meaning of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inshallah, in the next talks, inshallah, we'll be discussing more on the next verses of Surah Fatiha. Jazakumullahu khairan. وآخر دعوانا عن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد.